Hey guys, it's Scotty with Wet'Su Outdoors again here. A little bit more habitat management work we're doing out here at the farm. This is the same week we just finished burning a few days ago. Got some rain in here the last couple days, and we're about to get some timber stand improvement, or TSI, going here. And what we're looking to do is, in our particular instance, is we're managing for wildlife. We're not really focused on the timber value. While it is a consideration, but it's a minor consideration, we're more concerned with wildlife and habitat production. What we're trying to achieve here is, ideally, we'd like to get back to about 60 basal area if we can, but we're going to do our best anyway. What we're taking out of here is undesirables, okay? We're taking out hickory, cherry, a pile of black gum that we got in here, both young and bigger trees, that are all those kind of they thrive in that shady environment of those overstoried trees like the big white oaks and red oaks. And what we're trying to do is get rid of some of those. We are going to keep a few because we don't want a straight monoculture of just oaks in here. So we are going to keep some hickory, and we are going to keep some black gum and maple here and there. But really we just want to keep the most beneficial trees as we can for wildlife production, for the food and browse resources. So really, we're getting in here with the saw today. It was too early in the year for hack and squirt to use herbicide because the sap flow is coming. We're right at the end of winter. Spring green up is going to be here in about a month. Sap is starting to flow in these trees and the cambium layers already. So we are staying away from herbicide production because it's just going to be a waste of herbicide and get forced out and not do what we want it to do. So we're using nothing but saws, and we are going to do some double girdle technique to kill some of the bigger trees, to top kill some of the larger trees. We probably will get some regrowth at the stump, but that's okay because the deer in particular will browse on that new growth. But we are felling a lot of the smaller stuff from 4 to 8 inches or so. We're just felling it as close as we can to the ground without ruining the dang chains in this rocky soil we have here. All right, so anytime we're running saws, we obviously want to have all the protective gear: leather gloves, hearing protection, saw chaps. God forbid one get away from you, it eats the chap instead of your leg. I'm running a couple different chainsaws, varying from 14-inch bars up to 18 and 20-inch bars today. And kind of got a potluck of saws I've collected over the years from Poulan Steel and Husqvarna. And they do a good job for me, particularly if I select them for the right trees. The bigger trees, I like to use that Husqvarna on. It's got a 20-inch bar, and it really eats right through them pretty nicely. But let me show you some of the trees we got out here we're talking about. All right, so walking just a few feet from the side-by-side here, I see a species we don't have a ton of here, but it's definitely one of our more undesirables here. This is a shagbark hickory, and you can tell I would call it shagbark. It's got this super shaggy bark coming off of it. Some people actually confuse this with a white oak a little bit, but it is not. And this is actually one we're going to drop and get out of here. You can see it's crowding this little white oak that's right next to it, and this little white oak has actually got a pretty nicely shaped crown, even though it's being so competed out by that hickory. So we're going to get that shagbark hickory out of here. And then we've got a ton of just little white oak and black gum. That's small black gum right here that we're going to be working on getting out of here too. Now this is an interesting one. We don't see a whole lot of these out here. And this is a blackjack oak. So what it's doing up here in this site, I'm not really sure. But I don't have a whole lot of blackjack oak on this farm. But this is actually a pretty good sized one. And we'll probably just leave it as one of the few. All right, let's move on through here and see if I can find some other stuff we're going to be getting rid of. All right, so move down through here. I see 2 big old hickory trees here. Both of them fairly poorly shaped. There might be a good log in the bottom of that right one there, a couple logs. But this other 2, you can see how they're just bent over, chasing sunlight for the years. They've probably been shaded out by some other trees that were cut in an earlier timber harvest here. These 2 will definitely come out of here. These are a major improvement to the timber stand, for timber stand improvement. And getting those out of here. A lot of sunlight going to come to the forest floor, and we'll get a couple decent logs out of there as well. But as we continue back through here, you can see we got a lot of smaller hickory right here, and a lot of just poorly shaped little oaks. Now some of these oaks, like this one, might be small enough. Fire might have tried to kill it when the fire come through. We can leave it and see if the fire actually would kill it, but not really for sure. And then we got this black gum, and we've got a ton of this black gum in here. And all these black gums, you can tell by this real straight departure, this perpendicular departure off the stump of the limbs. And that's very indicative of the black gum. And there's just a pile of that through here. Also, you can see right through here, we got some young maples that are coming up in here. I can see a deer rubbed on this one, but there's plenty of trees in the woods to rub on. But a lot of these young maples, they sprout up. Some of these, if you let them go for 60 or 80 years, it might turn into a decent little tree, but we're not too worried about it. Like I said, we're in it for the wildlife, not for the timber. So we're going to be getting those out of here. So one good thing about maple is in its regeneration. I'm not worried about killing it at the root, because at the resprouts, the deer do love those tender maple leaves, and they also like those black gum leaves that come back off the right from a root or a stump resprout. So that's going to be one benefit, and those deer will actually probably wind up killing it if they get on those leaves just enough, and it'll wind up killing the whole tree. So what do you say get a saw started and get to it? It is cold out here today. It's in the probably the low 40s. A lot of moisture in the air, so it's making it pretty chilly. So I'm gonna leave my heavy jacket on, but I still gotta get the saw chap situated here. Let's go find a tree to cut down. Alright, well, I guess we'll just start with some of this black gum here. We'll start with these smaller stuff to get the littler stuff down and out of the way, so I can really see what I'm dealing with, and what are the larger trees that aren't particularly poorly shaped that I want to take down. Alright, so we made pretty quick work of some of those smaller trees. The smaller ones, you don't got to be nearly as careful. I had a couple of them kind of come down and fall across my back, but they're small, not that big of a deal. If I'm cutting any big trees, obviously we got to pay a lot more attention. We're about to move right back in here and get rid of one of our bigger undesirables here. Alright, so as I got to looking at it a little closer, I noticed a couple extra trees I need to get out of the way. I'm not really worried about this little guy, even though I might hit him real quick. I'm trying to make this hickory, like I said before, fall straight down through there. Let's see how good I do here. Alright, it pretty much went right where I wanted it to. Now just take out the stump, and I'll buck this off up to that first little limb sticking up there. We got us a nice big potential post here. Alright, so we're well into this little section here, but got a lot more work to do, and I'll show you what it looks like in about an hour when I'm finished up here. Alright, you can see right here we've got a split trunk little white oak here, and in order to let this tree right here do as good as it potentially can, because it's got a pretty nice crown to it. It should release pretty well. We're going to get this one out of the way. I'm going to show you how to cut this off here and make like a collared cut to eliminate the usage of nutrients from this stem and let it all concentrate on the bigger stem. Part of the stem so it's easier to manage. Alright, now with that piece of the stem out of the way, we can focus on just the collar cut. What you can see here, ultimately the result is we don't have a whole lot of lip over here. We don't have any damage to this main stem at all. It's just a nice smooth cut Not down around the flare, but basically right along the bottom of that stem collar. All right, well, you can see what one saw tank of fuel can do. And I tell you, that's a big difference from what it was when we first got in here and started working. Hopefully you guys can tell, but a lot of those anywhere between 3 or 4 inch up to about 10-inch stems, undesirables, poorly shaped. Even if they were a desirable species, if they're poorly shaped and they're really going to mount anything, it's better off to get rid of them, let the stump sprout come back and provide browse for the wildlife or create a new tree. But when they're all poorly shaped, it's not worth keeping them in there. So big difference from what it was an hour or so ago. But I tell you, a lot of light to the ground. There's gonna be a lot of food in there. There's a lot of different aspects to this that the wildlife will enjoy. And number one being the browse from sunlight getting to the ground. Number two being the different types of cover. Turkey hens will get in there and raise their babies. Maybe not this year, but next year. And it'll become a lot more desirable as habitat all the way around. So, all right, a little bit timber stand improvement. A lot more to do here out in southern Missouri, but a good look at what we're doing so far. All right, y'all take care, be safe, and manage your wildlife. Take care now. All right, so we're back out here continuing our timber stand improvement project here. And a couple of these trees up here, I'm going to try something up in this area on a pretty widespread scale. I haven't done it a whole lot, so I'm going to try something out here. And what we're going to do, because the sap flow is coming in on a lot of these trees with the spring coming, herbicides are not effective. So we can't really use hack and squirt right now. I have to do that later in the summer. And some of these bigger trees, I don't want to use hack and squirt anyway, because it just take a lot of chemical. But, and it may not be as effective. What I am going to do is I'm going to do a technique called girdling. Now all we got to do is get in there about 1.5 inches or so and break that cambium layer, and we're going to make 2 cuts around it. We're using a small saw today. The small saws, we don't got to go deep. All we got to do is make a nice cut around the tree trunk itself and interrupt the flow of nutrients from the leaves as they start coming on in spring down to the roots, and we'll effectively kill this tree. We'll top kill it. We will not root kill it. We're going to get resprouts at the stump, but that's okay for browse and everything. So we're going to do this pretty widespread through here, but I'm going to show you exactly how we do a double girdle on this this big post oak back here. Basically has no timber value. You can tell it's very poorly shaped. There might be a small post or a couple boards in that one upper stem, but nothing important here that we can't do without. It's more important to get sunlight to the ground than leave this tree standing. So we're going to get all our gear on and get with it. And one thing to consider is, where do we want to actually girdle this tree at? A tree we want to remove with no effective good log in it. We can do it anywhere up here where it's nice and easy to get to. If it had a good log in it, we might want to girdle it down low at the base and then just mark it up top as being a girdled tree. So we know that later on that we might be able to get a log out of that piece of timber. Alright, so we got 2 nice cuts in here. They're about half the bar depth, so about 1.5 inches or so, about 2 inches apart. That should be a nice interruption to the cambium layer of this tree, and all we got to do is mark it. And there you have it, a double girdled tree marked. We should effectively kill that tree, get rid of all the leaves on it. Light will be coming to the ground without making a big mess on the forest floor. All right, it's been 2 or 3 minutes after cutting this tree, and I was hoping that we were going to get to see this. We can see what I was talking about with the sap flow coming in. And you can look at this right here. And look at this sap just dripping out of this tree. It's a perfect example. It'll show why herbicides would be ineffective. You try to put herbicide in there, it's just going to wash it right out, and you're just wasting herbicide. So sap flow coming in these trees, about the only option we have is to completely remove them, cut them down right at the base, or double girdle them and let them die at the top. And once again, that marked tree is just a good way of indicating to anybody that's in here hunting on the farm or something, they see a red tree, a red marked tree like that, that it could potentially be dangerous as a dead snag. So to not get too close to it, or just be cautious. Alright guys, well I just finished working on this section here during my timber stand improvement. And I'm kind of using this little 1.5 acres or 2 acres as a test bed. So I'm doing this double girdling, and I'm going to come in here after the sap flow. And a lot of this stuff that you see that's marked with the red paint is all double girdled if it's got red paint on it. Alright, so this is pretty much it from the farm out here in southern Missouri for this trip. A lot of work and a lot of good things done. But I'll show you what all this looks like in about a month, and again in 3 months, hopefully, and give you updates on how our early successional environment is coming along. Alright, What's So Outdoors, y'all take care, be safe.